As promised from the last episode, today we will talk about what is Bitcoin and how does it work. But first, let me ask you, what is money? Some of you will say, this is money. Or is it? In this video, we will find out. Pero bago natin pag-uusapan ang Bitcoin, first we will talk about money. What is money exactly? Well, basically, money represents value. Halimbawa, nagtrabaho ako sa'yo, bibigyan mo ako ng pera in exchange for the value that I gave you. Then, yung pera na yon, gagamitin ko naman para makakuha ng something of value from someone else in the future. Throughout history, iba't ibang materials ang ginamit ng mga tao just to represent value. Gumamit sila ng asin, ng palay, ng shells at iba't ibang materials, and eventually, gumamit tayo ng gold as a medium of exchange. However, para masabi natin na ang isang bagay ay merong value, people have to trust it. Dapat meron tayong tiwala na ang isang bagay will stay valuable long enough for us to redeem that value in the future. Sa mahabang panahon, we always trusted in something to represent money. However, something happened along the way na nakapagbago ng ating trust model from trusting something to trusting someone. Let me explain. Sa paglipas ng panahon, na-realize ng mga tao na mahirap magdala kung saan-saan ng gold or other forms of money kasi nga naman mabigat, 'di ba? So paper money was invented. And here's how it worked. Ang bank or government, mag-offer sila sa iyo na sila muna ang hawak ng bar of gold mo. Let's say, for example, worth $1,000 of gold. In return, bibigyan ka ng bangko ng receipt certificate na tinatawag nating bill na nagre-represent ng $1,000 worth of gold bar na pinahawak mo sa kanila. The advantage of this is, syempre, mas magaan ang magdala ng paper bill kumpara sa bar of gold. At isa pa, mas makakabili ka ng mga maliliit na items na hindi mo na kailangang hati-hatiin yung gold, diba? Kasi makakabili ka ng kape using that paper bill. At kung gusto mo na maibalik na sa'yo ng bangko or government yung bar of gold, you just have to simply return that $1,000 bill to the bank para ma-redeem yung bar of gold whenever you need it. And so, dyan nag-umpisa ang paggamit natin ng paper bill as an instrument of practicality and convenience. However, sa paglipas ng panahon, this bond between the paper receipt and the gold it stands for was broken. Para ipaliwanag yung mga nangyari na nag-led sa paglayo natin sa gold standard, that's medyo complicated. So, simplihan lang natin. Suffice to say na yung government, sinabi nila sa mga tao na, hey people, ganito. Ako na mismo ang government ang nangangako sa iyo na ako yung liable dun sa paper bill na hawak mo. Basically, parang sinabi natin mga tao na, okay, sige, wag na tayo mag-trade ng gold, mag-trade na lang tayo ng papel. And so, yun na nga, ito na yung mundong kinalakihan natin ngayon, gumagamit tayo ng paper receipts to trade na hindi naman binaback up ng gold or anything worth valuable. Ang nagbaback up lang ng paper receipts na ginagamit natin is the promise of the government. Yung pangako lang ng government ang pinangahawakan natin, not the gold. At bakit nag-work yung ganitong kalakalan? Because of trust. Even though wala namang actual commodity like gold na nagbaback up dun sa paper bill na yan, people trusted the government. And that's how fiat money was created. Fiat is a Latin word which means by decree. Ibig sabihin yung mga dollar, peso, euro, yen, or any other currency. Naniniwala tayong meron itong value just because sinabi ng government na may value ito. Yun nga, by decree. Fiat. Ito yung tinatawag na legal tender. Yung mga coins or banknotes that are accepted if offered as payment. So, yung value ng pera natin ngayon, it actually comes from a legal status given to it by a central authority. And so, yung trust model nga is nagbago na from trusting something to trusting someone, and in this case, the government. Sa paggamit ng fiat currency, meron din naman itong mga drawbacks. Isa dito is, yun nga, it is centralized. Meron tayong central authority na nagko-control sa pag-issue nito. In this case, the government or the central bank. Another drawback is it is not limited by quantity. It is not limited by quantity kasi yung government or the bank, pwede silang magprint ng money. Therefore, na-inflate ang money supply sa market. Yung problema kasi kapag print lang ang government ng money is that since binabaha ng money yung market, the value of each dollar or peso drops. So, yung pera natin lumiliit yung halaga. 'Di ba kung mapapansin mo, ang presyuhan ng mga bilihin throughout the years, yung 1,000 pesos mo dati, parang makakapuno pa ng basket or ng cart, pero ngayon yung 1,000 pesos mo, ilang items na lang yung mabibili, 'di ba? That's inflation, my dear. So yun na nga, once the fiat money was in place, the move to digital money is pretty simple na lang. Since meron na tayong central authority na nag-i-issue ng money, madali na lang na gawing digital ang pera. And yung central authority pa rin ang may control of who owns what. Today, mostly na ginagamit natin as digital money is yung PayPal, credit cards, wire transfer, and maraming forms of digital money na present ngayon. So, if today's money is digital, how does that even work? Ibig kong sabihin, if meron akong file na nagre-represent ng peso, ano or sino ang makakapagpigil sa akin from copying it a million times para magkaroon ako ng million pesos? Ito yung tinatawag na double spend problem. Ang solusyon na ginagamit ng mga bangko today is a centralized solution. Meron silang ledger sa kanilang computer which keeps track of who owns what. Lahat merong account and this ledger keeps a tally for each account. Lahat tayo nagtitiwala sa bangko at yung bangko naman nagtitiwala sa computers nila. So, yung solution is centralized on this ledger, on this computer. Maraming attempt para mag-create ng alternative forms of digital money. However, walang naging successful para lutasan ang double spending problem ng walang central authority. Whenever you give anyone control over the money supply, binibigyan mo sila ng enormous power. And this creates 3 major issues. Ito yung mga issues sa pagkakaroon ng centralized system. Number 1, corruption. Hindi na bago sa pandinig natin ang corruption. Power corrupts and absolute power absolutely corrupts. Since ang mga bangko ang merong mandato to create money, they basically control the flow of money in the world, which gives them almost unlimited power. Isang maliit na halimbawa of how power corrupts is yung nangyari sa Wells Fargo, yung tinatawag na Wells Fargo scandal, kung saan yung mga employees nila ay nag-create ng millions of unauthorized bank and credit card accounts para lang ma-inflate yung revenue stream nang hindi nalalaman ng mga customers nito. Number 2 issue with centralized system is mismanagement. Kapag yung interest ng Central Bank Authority ay hindi naka-align sa interest ng mga tao, that's mismanagement. Halimbawa nga nun is para lang ma-save yung mga banks and institutions from collapsing, nagpaka-print lang sila ng money, gaya ng nangyari noong 2008. Yung problema kasi with printing too much money is it causes inflation. And basically, bumababa yung value ng pera ng mga tao. Isang extreme na halimbawa nito yung nangyari sa bansang Venezuela, kung saan yung government they printed so much money, it caused hyperinflation. Kaya naman bumaba talaga yung value of money. Mga tao doon hindi na binibilang yung money, bagkus tinitimbang na lang nila. Number 3 problem with centralized system is control. Basically, binibigay natin sa government or sa bank ang lahat ng control sa pera natin. At anytime, pwede silang mag-decide na i-freeze yung account natin or i-deny yung access natin sa pera natin. Kahit pa nga cash yung hawak mo, pwedeng i-cancel ng government ang legal status nito. Isang halimbawa ng control issue is yung nangyari sa Cyprus ba yun? Nung bumagsak kasi yung ekonomiya nila, nag-declare ang government nila na lahat ng may savings sa bangko is babawasan nila ng 10%. So, ikaw ba naman, 'di ba? Yung pinaghirapan mong pera na tinago mo sa bangko, bigla-bigla na lang babawasan ng government. 'Di ba parang ang sakit? It really hurts. Really hurts. Ang magmahal ng ganito. Wala ka magagawa kasi binigay mo yung buong control sa government. Hindi mo kontrolado yung pera mo. Pwedeng mangyari yun sa atin dito because binigyan natin ng power ang central authority. Yan ang estado ng mga bagay-bagay until 2009. Everything changed. Noong October 2008, a document was published online by a guy or group of people, hindi natin alam. They are calling themselves or himself Satoshi Nakamoto. Walang nakakaalam or nakakakilala kung sino si Satoshi Nakamoto. Yung document na pinublish niya na tinatawag ding white paper, nagsuggest yun ng way of creating a system for a decentralized currency called Bitcoin. This system claimed to create digital money na makakapag-solve sa double spending problem without the need for a central authority. Basically, ang Bitcoin ay parang isang transparent ledger na walang central authority. Pero ano ba ibig sabihin nun? Well, ikumpara natin ang Bitcoin sa bank. Since most money today is digital naman, ang mga bangko ang nagmamanage ng ledgers nito. Pero kasi yung ledgers ng bangko, hindi naman yung transparent and nakastore yun sa main computer nila. Tanging ang bangko lamang ang merong complete control sa ledger nila. Hindi natin yun na-access. Sa kabilang banda, ang Bitcoin ay isang transparent ledger at pwede mong tingnan ang lahat ng transactions and balances that are taking place. Lahat makikita mo sa Bitcoin. Ang hindi mo lang makikita is who actually owns what and kung sino yung behind each transaction. Ang ibig sabihin, ang Bitcoin ay pseudo-anonymous. Everything is open, transparent, and trackable. Since yung Bitcoin nga diba transparent, makikita natin sa Bitcoin ledger na itong account na ito, nag-transfer ng pera sa account na ito for this value. Pero hindi natin malalaman kung sino yun, sino yan. Kasi ang makikita lang kasi natin dun sa ledger na yun is parang ano lang siya, series of numbers and letters, usually around 30. Hindi natin makikita who owns this account. Compared to the current system, Bitcoin is also decentralized. Walang main computer na may hawak ng ledger. Sa Bitcoin kasi, bawat computer na nagpa-participate sa system ay may kopya din ng ledger, also known as blockchain. So kung balak mong i-take down or i-hack yung ledger na ito, edi parang kailangan mo na ring i-hack ang thousands of computers in the world na may kopya ng ledger na ito and who are constantly updating it. Kasi nga, this is decentralized. How about that? Just like most money today, Bitcoin is also digital. Walang actual coins, meron lang rows of transactions and balances. Pag sinabing Bitcoin owner ka, ang ibig sabihin nun, you have the right to a specific Bitcoin address and that you can send funds from that address to a different address. So, what does it all mean? Bakit parang big deal, parang big news ang Bitcoin? Kasi naman, for the first time in forever, meron na tayong alternative sa current system. Bitcoin is a form of money na walang kahit sinong bangko or walang kahit sinong government ang makakapag-control. Hindi nila mafi-freeze yung Bitcoin address mo. Wala silang power na kunin ang nilalaman ng Bitcoin wallet mo. You like that? Isipin mo yung panahon before the internet, kung gaano ka-centralize yung flow of information that time. Kung gusto mo ng balita, magre-rely ka lang sa ilang network, 'di ba? But today, because of the internet, ang dami-dami na nating source of news and live nating nakukuha yon. Kasi because of the internet, hindi na decentralized ang flow of information and nakakapag-communicate na tayo sa kahit saan sa mundo. With just one click, 'di ba? Gusto mo yon? Gusto ko yon. So, Bitcoin is parang siya yung internet ng pera. Kasi nag-o-offer siya ng decentralized solution to money. Maraming advantages ang Bitcoin. At pinakauna na nga dyan is full control, and that's what we want. It gives you complete control over your money. Kasi sa Bitcoin, ikaw at ikaw lang ang natatanging may access sa account mo. Walang government, walang bangko na makakapag-decide na i-freeze yung account mo or i-confiscate yung perang hawak mo. Number 2 advantage is wala nang middleman. Kinakat na ng Bitcoin ang mga middleman from the processing of transferring money. This means Bitcoin is cheaper to use than traditional wire transfer or money order. Number 3, hindi gaya ng fiat currency, Bitcoin is designed to be digital in nature. Ibig sabihin, you can add additional layers of programming and turn it into smart money. Number 4, it is open to all. Binibigyan niya ng opportunity ang 2.5 billion people in the world na walang access sa current banking system to own Bitcoin. Today, gamit lang na ang cellphone. Lahat tayo pwede na makapag-trade using Bitcoin. No permission needed. Nowadays, marami ng merchants online or offline ang tumatanggap ng Bitcoin. Pwede kang mag-book ng flight or mag-book ng hotel with Bitcoin kung gusto mo. There are even Bitcoin credit cards that allows you to pay almost any store with your Bitcoin balance. Alam mo ba na ang pinakaunang commercial transaction ng Bitcoin is when a programmer named Laszlo bumili siya ng 2 box ng pizza in exchange for 10,000 Bitcoins. That happened a long time ago. Pero ngayon, ang 2 Bitcoin makakabili na ng isang Tesla car. In just 10 years, ang dami nang narating ng Bitcoin, ang layo na nang narating ng Bitcoin. Noong July 30, 2014, nag-start ang Wikimedia na mag-accept ng Bitcoin as donation. Noong August 2020 naman, ang MicroStrategy nag-invest ng $250 million as a treasury reserve. Noong November 2020 naman, nag-announce ang PayPal na lahat ng users nila sa US ay pwede nang mag-buy or mag-sell ng Bitcoin using PayPal. Noong December 2020 naman, nag-announce ang Massachusetts Mutual Life Insurance Company na nag-purchase daw sila ng $100 million worth of Bitcoin. Nitong January 19, 2021 lang, nag-tweet si Elon Musk na in retrospect, it was inevitable, tapos nag-change siya ng bio niya sa Twitter. At ang effect no, tumaas lang naman by $5,000 ang value ng Bitcoin in just 1 hour. From 32,000 something dollars to 37,000 in just a matter of tweet, diba? And nitong February, nitong last week lang, nag-announce ang Tesla na pag-aari ni Elon Musk na nag-invest na sila sa Bitcoin and tumatanggap na rin sila ng Bitcoins as payment for their Tesla. So, diba, kung yung richest man on earth nga, nakikita niya ang potential ng Bitcoin, how about you? Why don't we follow where the whales are? So, kung umabot ka na sa point ng video na ito na hindi ka pa nag-i-skip, ito na, ipapaliwanag ko na how does Bitcoin work.